So when you're working on a local SEO campaign, there's fundamentally sort of two main distinct areas that you're going to want to be thinking about. Now, the best way to sort of demonstrate the differences between those two sort of different areas is to show you a search. So say, for example, I search for Brighton estate agent as a typical sort of search query here. Now, what you'll see here is there's essentially three different types of results being displayed on the search results page here. Now, on the left-hand side here, we have local listings, which are essentially triggered by listings on the maps section here, and I'll come to that in a little bit of a second. So that's essentially one algorithm in play there. That is the Google Maps local algorithm. And down the right-hand side here, we've got the pay-per-click ads, which I'm sure you'll be very familiar with. I'm not going to be talking about them specifically here. And then you've also got the results here, which are the natural results. So essentially, you've got three different types of results. You've got the Google Local Maps generator results, you've got the conventional results, and you've got the pay-per-click results. Now, there's essentially two different algorithms in play within the two natural results. So there's the local algorithm and the normal algorithm. Now, in the normal algorithm, it's worth noting that it's just like a normal key phrase, but it's just geographically modified. So what you need to do if you're kind of conducting a local campaign is to first conduct an audit of all of your target keywords that contain a geographically modified element to them. So Brighton estate agents, or Hove estate agents, or Portsmouth estate agents, or letting agents, and all these sorts of ones, and kind of classify those that have a geographic element. Now, for each of those key phrases, you need to ensure that there is a page on the site that corresponds to those key phrases, and that page that exists is well optimized for that. So does it contain the geographic modifier and the main keyword in the title tag, in the H1 tags, within the body, and all those types of things as well. So really, that's kind of quite similar to a normal kind of conventional SEO campaign, except you're thinking about geographic modifiers in there. So that's kind of important there as well. So potentially, you might want to generate some new pages there that have unique content. You could potentially, because that's quite difficult to scale in some cases. So if you're covering, I don't know, 100 different locations, it can be quite difficult to produce all the unique content that is required to optimize those pages. So some of the options are that you work with people who are working in those individual branches and give them kind of a very tight brief and get the information off them and kind of compile all of that and then put those onto those separate pages. Another option is that you kind of use some sort of semi-automated, so you have kind of lots of different variations of key phrases. So you have a couple of sentences about county, a couple of sentences about town, and you combine them there. That's not perfect from a search perspective, but it's better to have that unique content on each of those pages than have no unique content whatsoever. And another sort of more involved but very viable option is to kind of look into user-generated content. So what content can you get on that site that's produced by the users of the site? So potentially you could provide local listings or local news and combine content in that way. So that's one way of doing it as well. Now, to rank for those geographically modified key phrases, you're going to have to go through a kind of a conventional SEO process. So you're going to want to outreach to influential sites and try and get links to those internal pages. A good way of doing that on a local campaign is to try and find the most authoritative local sites. So I live in Haywards Heath, and there's a website called haywardheath.co.uk. So to get a link from haywardheath.co.uk to a estate agent in Haywards Heath, it's about the best link that you possibly can get there as well. And potentially as well, you might want to mark up some of the content that's on those pages in microformats. Now, microformats are a specific sort of type of code that it's not really visible to the users of the site that the content is marked up in this way, but it is really powerful to the search engines. So that does things like say this is the postcode of the local branch, or this is the address of the local branch, this is their phone number. It just helps the search engines understand the differences within that content. So there's some of the things I'd be thinking about to try and rank essentially in these results here. But practically speaking, they're quite far below the fold on my laptop here, and will be the same on many people's desktops as well. It's actually the local map related listings which are appearing top. Now, they actually work on a slightly different algorithm to the normal search algorithm, and it looks at a couple of different things as well. So what do you need to do if you want to rank there and you've got a big nationwide, lots of branches that you need to deal with. Well, first of all, you need to have a plan in place for the creation and sort of rationalisation of the Google Local Business Centre listings that you've already got, because many of them will already exist. They'll either will have been generated by the individual branches, or Google will have auto-generated them based on data sets that they've bought from people like the Yellow Pages. So what you need to do is kind of make sure that you're under control of all of those different listings, and that there aren't duplicates, because that happens very often as well. So that's the first stage. Then you want to take each of those profiles and work out how you can improve them so they're kind of ticking all the boxes from Google's perspective to make sure that they appear higher. So that includes means including things like photographs, links to YouTube accounts, good categorization as well, because there's often a couple of categories that you can list your local business in, so it's good to think about that categorization. And also other things as well, like for example here we've got Bryce's and MTN Property. Both of those have reviews associated with them. Now that's probably not the only reason that they're ranking first and second in the results here, but Google certainly wants to reward websites who do, who perform in the way that they want them to, and including reviews is potentially a good way of doing that as well, because it's sort of expected that if it isn't already a big part of the algorithm, it certainly will be in the future. And also it's worth noting as well the kind of anticipation within the search community that Google Local Business listings will probably eventually be merged into Google Plus accounts. So there's also an argument from a local search campaign that it's worthwhile to be setting up a Google Plus account as well. So that's some of the things you'd be doing on that particular campaign, but there's other things that you need to do off-site in order to get a local business listing to rank. Now, with normal conventional SEO, it's about inbound links, and that's a lot of what determines where you rank in the search results. With the map-based listings, it looks at something slightly different. They look at citations, and a citation is where the name of the company, the address and phone number are all contained within one page. So potentially if you're trying to seek a citation, you take a slightly different approach to if you're trying to build a link. Now, in many cases, a citation will also be a link, and a link will also be a citation, but there are some websites that you would go after that wouldn't provide a link to you, so wouldn't necessarily help your conventional SEO, but because you're going after a local campaign, you would submit to them, and quite often these are directories, for example. So there's that, and there's one final element that you can't really control too much, but the local map algorithm is based up on kind of the quality of your profile, the number of citations you've got, but also kind of the proximity to the centroid. So the centroid is where, in this particular case, it's around here where most estate agents are based. That means that Google think that that is the centre of Brighton, for want of a better description. Now, if you're outside the map that appears here, you stand a very low chance of appearing in those search results. There's very little you can do about that, but it's something to bear in mind, that it will help you understand why some listings, despite having everything else going in their favour, aren't going to rank very well as well. So you need a campaign to kind of reflect that. So you need to audit, rationalise and create all the business local listings that you need, make sure that they're all implemented and created to best standard practice, and then make sure that you've got kind of an outreach program in place to create the citations that mean that they're going to be able to rank there as well. So they're the two sort of main areas, the map results and the geographically modified results. It's also worth thinking about mobile within the mix as well. Mobile is very much going to be very connected to local, because the connection is obvious, that the instant that you're making a search on a mobile device, it's geographically motivated to some shape or form. Now, I think definitely it's worth thinking about your mobile site, potentially looking at options like responsive web design, so you can use the same website but it works on a tablet and it works on a PC as well, setting up a separate mobile site, working with apps. And there's all kinds of different options there, but it's worth thinking about local search whenever you're thinking about your mobile site operation.